Hey everyone, and welcome to this edition of Let's Talk Adult, where we talk smart sex talk. And I'm Jim Williams, your host, and my partner in crime, the one, the only, the man who is the king of the world, Glenn King. Glenn, some opening remarks, and please, we'd love to introduce our guest.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Adult, where we bring you adult entertainment talk for the adult entertainment curious, because everyone has that dark little secret area of their mind where they think constantly about porn stars and what they're really like. And that's what we're here for, is to bring you information and advice and behind the scenes type stuff about what the world of adult entertainment is really like. And Jim, today, listen to this resume of our guest today. This is going to blow you away. She's the star of hundreds of adult videos, maybe even thousands. She was Stripper of the Year a few years ago. She's been on numerous box covers, hosted her own show on Playboy Spice Radio, worked in the industry in very many other capacities, such as she worked for one of the top talent agencies. She's taught many of today's top feature dancers how to practice their craft, worked as a production manager, and if that wasn't enough, she is a mainstream video superstar, having appeared in shows like Entourage, Detention, and an upcoming movie called Slumber Party Slaughter #2. Not #1, which was for losers, but #2, which is the good one in this series. So that person, Jim, is the legendary Brooke Haven.
Yay! Yay! Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad to be a part of this.
She's also my roll dog and one of my best friends ever.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
Now that's the title that's priceless.
Aw,
Boy, have we had some memories in our time, Glenn.
We do have some stories
Oh
to tell. If this were like a 3-hour podcast, we could fill it up with just those stories. But I'm planning on asking at the end about some of this stuff here. We'll tell a few of them.
We'll get to it, huh?
We'll get to it. All right. Well, we'll start at the beginning then. Brooke, tell us how you got into the adult entertainment industry.
Oh, let's see. So once upon a time when I was just a little house dancer, which is, if for some of you that don't know what a house dancer is, you're not a feature entertainer. A feature entertainer is a porn star or headliner that gets paid to appear at the club for a certain amount of shows. When you're a house dancer, you're basically just go to the club and you have to pay to strip at that club. You're kind of renting the stage, if you will, and renting the lap dances. And then the men are renting your lap, or their lap, or renting you for their lap, actually, I should say. So back when I was a house dancer, I was dancing with this girl who some of you may have heard of named Lexi Marie. And she got into the adult business before me. And I just remember I was so envious of the life she started to live. And she was just constantly going, we were living in Arizona. She was just going back and forth, and she was shooting for all these magazines and movies and living her best life. And I was like, well, I want to do this. Why am I not doing this? I have sex for free. Damn it. Yeah. I want to go do it on movies. So she introduced me to Derek Hay from LA Direct Models, and that was my agent. He signed me immediately at the age of 24, and that was it. I mean, my career just, it started off a little slow. I hadn't really found myself sexually yet in a lot of ways, but once, like a year or so in, and I did find myself sexually and learned how to orgasm and just really became a woman, I would say, that was it. My career just took off after that.
Really?
And here I am with you.
Let's expand on that a little bit. So what was the difference, though, between those first few scenes you did? Was it just the companies you were booked with, or was it just you in your own head developing a comfort level?
I think it was just me and my own head and developing a comfort level. I think you said that perfectly. I had never had an actual orgasm, and believe you me, when I tell you I had a lot of random sex before getting into porn.
Right.
And yes, random. But I just had never had the big O. I didn't understand it. I never masturbated. Nobody ever gave me an orgasm. And that was probably less about them not being able to make me orgasm, but me being in my head. Like if you're not sexually comfortable with yourself and you don't feel like you're sexy and you don't realize how moving your hips and moaning is all part of it.
But weren't you considering yourself a lesbian before you got in porn when you were a stripper? I mean, no. I mean, I know you had sex with guys, but I think you told me that you preferred women, right?
Well, see, funny. That's a great subject because you'll laugh at how my outlook on that is now. So back in those days, I did maybe think I was a lesbian, and I had been involved in threesomes, and girls went down on me, and I went down on them, and it was all whatever. And that was all before porn, but I still hadn't had the big orgasm. However, now that I'm a little older, my take on girls and things is I love women's boobs, and I love their faces, but I want zero to do with their vaginas.
Oh, wow. It's quite a lesbian.
I'm only lesbian from the waist up. I'll kiss a girl all day, play with her boobs all day, but do not take off your pants because I don't want to see her vagina.
So maybe I'm about to ask the stupidest question of all time then, and lesbians are going to protest me, but if you're having lesbian sex and you're not having an orgasm, in other words, when I have sex, I know when the sex is over because I blow my load, I ejaculate, and that's it. That's sort of when we're wrapping up. That's like the cue, the sign that Jim gives me that, hey, we're 40 minutes in, we need to wrap up the podcast.
Right.
If you're having lesbian sex and you're not orgasming, how do you know when the sex is over?
That's the thing, you don't know. And maybe that is what has turned me off of vaginas for life now. It's just because maybe I'm scarred for life because I've just had to go down on so many vaginas, or I've made girls come, but they've pretended, I don't know, but they've gone down on me for like so long, and none of us know when the party's over.
just so you know, okay, just so you know. Besides the fact that we are a very LGBTQ friendly show, there are many women who are actual lesbians who do not get an orgasm from oral sex. I'm sorry, just let me finish. From oral sex, but they do get it from using fingers and or toys. Don't ask me why or how. But I have extensive experience in the LGBTQ plus community, and that's not an uncommon thing for lesbians not to orgasm from oral sex.
Okay, well, thank you for not making me feel alienated on that, and to know that it's not just me.
That's my public service, yes.
I also struggle with it with men as well, and I just think the more women I've talked to, I find it's kind of a commonality. Like, unless I'm really super into the dude, I don't want you going down on me. Just don't even do it. I'll go down on you all day long, and I want you to fuck me. But I don't want you to waste my time and go down on me if I'm not going to come from it. Like, I don't know. I'm just over there, like, looking at my watch, like, okay, yawn, stretch. Are we ready to fuck now? Because I'm ready. But I understand some men love to go down on girls, so that's why they do it. And, sure. If I really like the guy, then I'll allow him to.
Okay, then. I guess that kind of makes sense. All right, so you did, your first year was not very wild, but then you really sort of jumped into the world of wild scenes, and I think you were doing, anals and double anals and all kinds of stuff. What stands out from that period for you then, the scenes that you remember the most?
So I never did any double anal or double badge, but I did do lots of DPs. And then when I say lots, there was probably like 5 or so. And
DP is what for people that are in the audience?
Oh, for those of you that don't know, DP is double penetration. So that means you have a cock in your mouth and a cock in your pussy at the same time.
Gotcha.
Which is a little bit mechanically kind of weird, but it's a lot of fun. So I did those. I did lots of lesbian scenes, lots of boy-girl scenes. But I think that maybe my scenes just got wilder in the sense of I was doing better scenes because I was actually getting off on what I was doing.
Right.
So
you were very aggressive, though. You came across in your scenes as somebody who attacks the cock, which to me is a defining thing for elite talent.
Well, isn't that kind of how you and I met? Is you were wanting me to work for your company because I was aggressive and kind of went for the cock and attacked the cocks, and you were like, I want you. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not a dominant girl. And you saw something in me that maybe I never even saw, which is how our friendship even blossomed along.
Yeah, the first time we met, I was actually telling Jim about a second ago before we got on the air. I'm not sure if you actually remember this, but it was at AVN one time, and I just saw you walking down a hall, and I thought you were somebody else. So I came up to you. It was something like, "Hey, Brittany, how are you? Hey, it's Glenn. How you been?" And then we
talked
thought
I was
for
Brittany Sky?
It might have been Brittany Sky. So then, like 10 or 15 minutes, we're walking down the hall together, just chatting like old friends. And then you never bothered to tell me that you're not Brittany or whoever it was, because you're just so
amazing.
nice. Yeah. And
I'm like, we'll just role play this out.
that's just how you are. You're like, oh, good. Now I have a new friend, even though he thinks I'm somebody else. No, but then I did. I wanted to book you to be in the videos, and you said no, I think. And then I had to ask somebody to talk you into it, right? Or somebody.
You did. And I'm trying to remember who it was you did have talk me into it. Was it Josh Hunter?
Maybe Nikki Hunter.
Maybe. It could have been, but you did. Somebody talked me into it. And then once I was in your world, I never wanted to not be in your world. Yeah.
And you became a very good dominatrix.
Yeah.
Which is really, it's interesting because it's not your personality to be mean to anybody. Now, bossy, perhaps.
But, very bossy, that's for sure.
But that just goes to show you the reason I mentioned that to all you peeps out there. And by the way, you're listening to Let's Talk Adult with Glenn King and Jim Williams and our special guest, Brooke Haven. No, the reason I bring it up is that there's all types of doms, and this is something that gets kind of misunderstood out there. When you think dominatrix, you think of a girl who's dressed in leather with her hair pulled up in a little bun and stern look on her face with a whip out ready to hurt somebody who hates men. But there are all types of doms. And my website, meanbitches.com, is really all about women using men for their pleasure and getting what they want. And so that's why it's perfect for a girl like Brooke over here, who is sensual, sexy, manipulative, knows how to use her body to get men to do what she wants.
That is a very good description of me. I love it. I'm keeping that. And, when I think of a dom, the first woman that comes to mind, just in my genre of friends, whatever, is Helly Hellfire.
Yes.
She is quite the dom and mistress and all of the above.
Yeah, we plan to have Helly on very soon.
Oh, I need to take lessons from her, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody could. And she's your kind of dom because she's blonde and beautiful and glamorous looking. And that's the kind I like as well. Yeah.
We have the same taste in our women, even though mine are from the waist up.
Right.
Right. All right.
Which we established is very LGBTQ friendly. Okay. So there's no problem there.
Very. No, I have no problem. I love watching it. It's just I don't want to do all that work.
Yes, we all love.
Yeah, but I'm all for it.
Yeah. Okay, so after you became a superstar, you became a mentor for other performers. This is a very interesting evolution for you. You started training other girls how to feature dance. You started working over at the talent agency that you were signed up with. You were production manager for me. How did this come about where you became one of the great mentors of the industry?
I guess it just kind of came with me being the girl that gave the girl the feature dance lessons, and then going on the road with some girls. And, going on the road with the girls can be very lonely. So especially the ones that are newer to the industry. So then they would start talking to me about things. And then I just kind of started giving my unsolicited advice sometimes.
Yeah, which we need in the industry.
Right. I think we do, because sometimes people don't know what questions to ask, or might just be afraid to bring the things up, or, and I guess it just, maybe people just started trusting what I was saying or doing, or maybe I just had a good reputation in the industry. I wish I knew how it really came about. But I'm so honored and grateful, and I love it. It makes me feel so happy to be a mentor for the girls.
Well, let's pull back the curtain of porn a little bit here and explain to people how things work. Tell people, when an 18-year-old girl runs away from home and gets on the bus from Kansas and arrives here to become a porn star, what training does she get before she goes onto the job?
None. Zero. Not a dang thing. And a lot of people, they probably ask you guys this day to day too, in different circumstances, maybe conventions when fans come across you. Is there the casting couch real?
Yeah.
And always like, well, no, not necessarily, but there are sometimes young girls that get on the wrong sets where, you know, the director might be like, well, before you do this actual scene you're booked for, I have to test you out. So hop on the cock.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you
no,
know,
we've
these
heard
young girls from Kansas, well, just get on that cock.
Yeah, and I think every single performer that's been on our show has said that she's had that's happened numerous times. You know, and it starts with the go-see, right? Like when you went on your first go-sees, how many or you know, tell us about which directors tried what kind of weird stuff on you.
Honestly, because I was with LA Direct Models, and I was actually at the time dating Derek. So the directors, it never actually happened to me. Nobody ever like was like, oh yeah, before the scene, this is what we're going to do. The most that they ever did to me was kind of try and slip an extra set of pretty girls in and an outfit change kind of thing without it going over it with Derek. But nobody ever did it to me, but I just knew so many girls that it was happening to on a day to day.
This is a big thing these days too.
I was just going to say, Glenn, what you're talking about is almost everybody to a person that we've had on thus far has said exactly the same thing about it was tried, but they resisted it, and they were cautioning younger women who were getting into the business, you don't have to go that way. So
yeah, like don't fall for that one. Oldest trick in the book.
Yeah, we had Christina Rose on a few weeks ago, Brooke. She said, what's the big deal? The director asks if he can have sex with you on set, and you just smack him in the face, and then
right, just move on. Yeah.
It works for Christina.
Great. Right? Okay,
yeah.
That's the perfect answer then. I love it.
No, so here's a crisis that's happening in porn right now is that, so because everyone is doing clips for sale and I want clips in all these clip stores, and there are a lot of producers who get paid like a flat rate by the production company, and then it's up to them to figure out how to spend the budget. They will ask the girl, okay, but now before we do the scene, put on a different outfit. Let's go on to a different set. And now we're going to film a JOI, which is a jerk off instruction. That's a solo video clip where the girl looks at you and just tells you to jerk off for her. And the girls, the 18-year-olds are like, oh, okay, I guess that's part of the scene. But the girls who have been around a while are like, oh, no. You're asking me to do a different scene here. You're just trying to get extra footage out of me for a separate purpose, and you're not paying me extra.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what it was. And that's what directors have tried to do with me before without the hand job part, which I love. By the way, just for the audience and for you guys, Glenn, you probably already know this about me. I love watching men jerk off. That is my thing. I don't know what it is. A lot of girls are like, ooh, a penis is ugly. Nope, it's not. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and I can look at penises all day. And if you're going to jerk off for me, I'm down.
And you're kind of an expert on hand jobs as a result. Because
right?
remember when you were production manager for me, I would tell you that, okay, listen, I need you to go quietly pull that girl aside and explain to her how to give a good hand job so that the rest of the scene looks good.
And blow job too. Yeah. And it's you and I think, between ourselves, we should be like, how is it? But how do girls not know how to do it?
Right.
Like sometimes they would just literally put the cock in their hand and kind of like almost as funny as it is, but try and blow on the cock as a blowjob. And it's like, whoa, hold on. What are you doing here? Well, you wanted me to blow him, right? No. Not blow on it.
Again, these girls get no training, Jim. They need,
None.
they really need, every agency should actually hire somebody like Brooke over here to do like, a 2 or 3 step course for them, beginner level, advanced level, expert level on some of the basics. But it's not just that. It's how do you prepare before you go to set? What do you bring with you? So have you ever thought about doing that?
No, but not until recently. I would say over the last couple of months, I've thought more and more about it. And what brought it on is I actually went to New York I flew to New York and I shot for a company, and we did this pizza shoot for a magazine and a pizzeria. And they didn't have a makeup artist, so I knew what rate I was getting, and I set aside an amount of money to hire a makeup artist. Mm-hmm. I wanted to look my best. This was going in a magazine. I brought tons of heels. I brought wardrobe, panties, bras, whatever it is, even though they gave me no direction. They're like, just come. So I did my best. I was ready for my shoot, and there was about 4 or 5 other girls that were in this magazine shoot with me. I didn't know them. They had all flown in from different parts. And I get in the car, and I'm looking at some of these girls, which are like, some of them were penthouse pets, some of them shot for Playboy, some of them were actual porn stars, and they all look terrible. Like they just rolled right out of bed.
Yeah.
No makeup, barely brushed their hair. And then, then we get to set, and I'm putting on my heels and a G-string, and I'm like, okay, now what else do you guys want me to put on? And these girls don't have G-strings or heels, for that matter.
Yeah.
So they were relying on these people to bring them wardrobe and shoes, and it wasn't communicated. And these girls didn't want to spend their own money to hire a makeup artist, or, and after that, it really set into me, like, somebody really should go around and start some kind of business for these girls for consulting. Beginners porn consulting or something.
It's a brilliant idea.
I don't know.
If you want to start up a little company, I'll back you. I don't think you need much money to start it up, but talk to me if you want help getting that going, because I think you would be not only really good at it, and every agency would and should want to hire you, I think, your company for that, but it would be very helpful as a producer. I would love it if girls would show up that were trained, because right now I really won't shoot anybody who hasn't been in the industry for a year.
And I think you've usually been that way, right? I mean,
sure.
Ever since I could remember, you would not want to shoot a girl that was too brand new, because you didn't want to have the instances where she doesn't know what to do with the cock, or what to bring the set, or to get her test, or that's the other thing, if these girls aren't in like an agency, they may not know to get a test. They may have let their test expire because nobody's there to remind them. But that's amazing, Glenn. We should talk deeper into that, because I'm very, very enticed. And I think it'd be great.
It would be. And by the way, the problem with my strategy of not shooting girls until they've been in the industry for a year, these days, like 60% of them don't last the full year. So
really?
Oh, yeah. I'm missing out on a lot of good ones because they get in the industry, they do it, and then they get out for various reasons. Although in some cases it's good reasons. A lot of them just get in the industry just to build a name, and then they use that name to be successful with their clip stores and other things. Well, we're going to ask Brooke about some advice that she would give and get into that segment. But first, Jim, let's tell our audience about the amazing sponsor of ours, Blue Chew. So, Jim, BlueChew.com is our sponsor these days, and for me personally, I can endorse it with incredible personal experience. I am a 50-year-old guy who performs in adult entertainment, and that's not easy to do when you're a 30-year-old guy. Performing in adult videos means that you have a whole crew of people around you. You got lights, you've got money on the table, because if you can't perform, then you're not going to get a full scene in. So you're going to lose the money that people put out for that day, paying for the performers, paying for the set, paying for the makeup artist, paying for all the food, etc. So the pressure is on, is what I'm saying. And sometimes as a 50-year-old guy, you need a little bit of help in the area of getting an erection. Very simple. And you've got choices. I mean, you certainly can get your Viagra and your Cialis, but there's a much better alternative, and that's Blue Chew, BlueChew.com. I am a customer of theirs. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. It's the same ingredients that are in Cialis, so you're getting the real thing and the same ingredients that are in Viagra. But one of the differences is, besides the lower cost, is that since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as the pill that you swallow. So the problem here, if you're taking the pill, is that once you're in the middle of sex and you know you need it, you may not have time. The girl might give up on you if it takes you an hour to be ready. For me personally, and I can't guarantee results for anybody but myself, It takes about 20 minutes to kick in as opposed to an hour for me when I chew the pill that I get from Blue Chew. So essentially, it's sexual performance on demand so that you can be ready when you need to be ready. Now, Blue Chew is prescribed online, so you don't have to go to a doctor for this. You basically just go into a little box and explain to them what your problem is. They have a doctor review it online and then prescribe you with what you need. So you don't have to wait in the pharmacy, which I've done many times. You don't have to go pharmacy shopping, which I've had to do many times because Cialis and Viagra are very expensive. And it's nothing embarrassing about this at all. They ship it to you in a very, very discreet little package. It's like a little envelope. It's made in the USA. Okay, so I know some of you out there, my friends that I know, have been getting their erectile dysfunction drugs from India or Canada or whatever. You don't need to do that anymore. This is made in the United States, and they prepare it and ship it direct, so it's much cheaper than a pharmacy. And here's the good news. Jim, you ready for this? This is the deal that we've got for our listeners. You go to bluechew.com. That's blue like the color, BLUECHEW.com. And you get your first shipment free when you use our special promo code. Yeah. So
that's
the promo
hard to
code,
pass up.
It should be. So I'm very serious about this, my listeners. All of you out there, if you haven't tried this, there's no reason to not give it a try. You'll find that this really works. This isn't one of those things that you get at the gas station where it's like a knockoff pill. This is the real thing. So use our promo code ADULT, ADULT. You're going to pay $5 shipping, but you're going to get your first order of Blue Chew. And you can choose between the thing with the ingredients for Viagra or Cialis. You're going to pay $5 shipping and get your first order for free. So again, that's bluechew.com, BLUECHEW.com. Use the promo code ADULT. Again, I am a customer. I say this with all sincerity. It works. It's the better, cheaper, faster choice. Give it a try. Then we thank them for sponsoring the podcast. All right, so there you go, Blue Chew. And Jim, now let's get right back into it with Brooke Haven. So, Brooke, advice. As we talked about, you've got tons of it to give here. So many young people are getting into adult entertainment. Actually, before they even get into adult entertainment, they're thinking about getting into adult entertainment, and it has a huge impact on your life. So talk about how getting into the adult entertainment industry affected your personal life and your love life.
Oh, boy. Well, you being one of my very best friends in the world have seen all kinds of things with me in my love life, and also struggling with trying to relocate to Texas once and trying to get a real job out there. And so basically what you don't think about, and I didn't have anybody there. Again, there was no mentor. There was nobody to give me advice. I never invested any money. That should be something that these girls are definitely taught a lesson on. Definitely invest your money immediately. Just start investing right away. Put a nest egg away for yourself, because when you stop shooting, that day will come. Whether it's you that decides to, or your family, or your boyfriend, or whatever it is. If you don't have a nest egg put away, your bills are still coming in. And you're not making the money you're used to making. And that happened to me. So I can definitely give girls a lot of advice on what not to do there. And as far as love life, nobody was ever there to tell me, well, this is going to really affect you in your life. And if you decide to have children one day or get married, these videos are never going anywhere. So just because you've hung up your G-string and decided you're going to walk away from the industry in some form or fashion, those videos are never going anywhere. They're there until they're going to outlive you, most likely, in some fashion, even though we don't do DVDs or any of that anymore. VHS, it's now online, and it's never going anywhere. And after that, there'll be another platform they'll put them on. There's a lot of bullying that goes on in schools that I've always imagined, if I had ever had kids, that my kid might experience quite a bit of bullying, because people are mean.
Yeah.
They're mean, and they'll just use that against you. And then you have to think about falling in love. So what if you fall in love, which I've fallen in love many times, and a lot of times we start dating these guys, and at first they're so all about it. I'm dating Brooke Haven. She's a porn star. She is hot. Check her out. Look at this. I'm going to take my porn star everywhere with me. And then the longer you date that person, more feelings get involved and love happens or lust or whatever. And they don't want anybody else to touch you. They don't want you doing porn. They don't want you dancing naked on a stage, feature dancing.
Right.
So, you know, and their families might have a huge issue with it and not want them to marry you or date you because of that. And it doesn't matter. You could be the best human being on the planet. To them, you're always going to be the dirty porn star. That's an embarrassment to them. So that's something I wish somebody would have kind of pointed out to me and let me think about, because there's no rewinding it now.
Right.
There's no going back.
Yeah. No, you are who you are at this point.
You are who you are. And I don't know. I guess I kind of wonder, because you do see couples in the industry, maybe they're both in the industry and they're dating or end up married, or you see, and Glenn, you may or may not be able to agree with me on this. I think maybe deep inside you agree. You've seen it happen a lot. You'll see the most beautiful porn star with the nerdiest, weirdest thigh you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, how does this work? And he doesn't work, doesn't have a job. She supports him. And it's because I think it's because you want to be loved and you want to be held by somebody at the end of the day. You want to be accepted.
Right.
And sometimes they settle for these guys that are obsessed with them because maybe they were a fan one day, or they're just dorky dudes with no self-esteem. And, you know, they're okay with it, or they're living on your paychecks or whatever it is. And these girls just want to have somebody. And so
and it's
that's,
usually
I think, how that
the
ends
wrong
up.
person.
Exactly. We've seen that time and time again in a lot of sad fashions. And it's, you know, I think we have a name for that, like a suitcase pimp sometimes, when, you know, they're dating this guy the guy's driving their Mercedes around town or their Lexus while they're on set having a sex scene with a guy, and the guy's cheating on them with another girl and driving their car around. Actually, I believe that's happened to me a time or two or three. So,
but then like even sadder is that the girl, so you know, she becomes sort of dependent upon that guy for those things that you just mentioned, the security blanket. And meanwhile, she knows she's with the wrong guy, so she's trying to figure out how to get rid of him in a nice way. And then he goes, you know, like so it's kind of like one of those companies where they never fire anybody, but they just sort of manage them out of the department. They just treat the person poorly until the person quits on their own. A lot of these girls do that. They know they're with the wrong guy, so they mistreat him. And then he finally says, okay, I'm gone. And then they're sad. Then the girl's depressed because her ego takes
the love of my life is gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm all alone now.
Yes. That just happened to a very close friend of ours, you know.
Did it? Really?
Yeah. Oh, you don't know who I'm talking. Okay, I'll tell you off the air.
Oh, yeah. I think I do. Yeah, we'll say it off air, but yeah. And it's like, you don't want to be with them, but when they do leave, it's like, oh wait, but I love them. Come back, and it's like, wait a minute, what the hell just happened?
So it never really ends. And so people, you need to understand this if you're thinking about getting in the industry, that it is going to make it very hard for you to find love. And then it's not just that, but it can be difficult to get a bank account or difficult to get an apartment, for example.
Well, yeah, that's what I had experienced greatly. I experienced it when I moved away to Texas. I thought I fell in love, so I moved away to Texas to this guy's family's cattle ranch. And, you know, his family hated the idea of me until I got out there, and then they got to know me and took a liking to me. And it was all about, okay, you need to get a real job. Yes, I do. And I went through hell trying to be accepted there, trying to get a real job. And it was East Texas. And Glenn, you're from Texas, so you're very familiar with Texas, but and you're from the bigger parts of Texas. But East Texas is so little and so close-minded that if you're blonde with fake tits and a bunch of tattoos, without the porn being attached to you, you're banished. But then if you put porn into it, you're really just get her out of this town. I'm surprised they honestly didn't put me on a stake and try and burn me at the stake. But it was bad.
I was about to say they were going to rush you to Louisiana.
And then
Jezebel.
For the members, for the audience members that don't, they might be like, well, why would you tell people in Texas you did porn? Well, there was this thing called WikiLeaks years ago. So whenever you Google or you do anything legal with my legal name, then Brooke Haven stuff pops up immediately.
Yeah.
So I will try to get on with Blue Cross Blue Shield out there. And I went through, there's like 7 phases of the interview process over a month's time. And I made it through all 6 until the last one was the 7, which was the background check. And I mean, they loved me. I flew through the interviews. I got all the answers right they needed on the test. I was timely. Everything was great. But that background check, that was the end of me. I got the letter of, thank you so much for applying. But no, I actually got 3 denial letters. And I don't have a criminal record. I don't have speeding tickets. I've never been to jail. And I remember his mother, the boy I thought I fell in love with, his mother said to me when that was going on, because I was crying and I didn't understand it. And she said, well, you know what? I'm a business owner. And if I had you in front of me that had a career in porn, and I had an ex-convict that got out of prison, I would hire the ex-convict over you because I wouldn't want the sexual harassment laws.
That's brutal.
Oh, my God.
I know. And I was
Thanks,
like,
lady.
Jesus. Okay. Well, I'm moving back to LA then. How about that? You guys can take all your stuff and shove it.
Could have said it nicer, but okay.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the area of the country that gave you Ted Cruz. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, you're listening to Let's Talk Adults with Glenn King and Jim Williams and our special guest, Brooke Haven.
Glenn and I will be right back right after this from BMW.
Life is about making decisions. At BMW I, we decided it was time to reinvent the car from the ground up, making sure we were open for truly innovative ideas. We decided that the car we wanted must be electric, and it should be made of extremely light and super strong carbon fiber. And finally, we decided to make it more intelligent and added our promise of incomparable driving pleasure. We made all these decisions to offer you a choice. The all-electric BMW i3.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Adult with Glenn King and Jim Williams.
Moving on to happier things here. I'm looking at...
Please, God. Yes.
Looking at your Instagram now, there's so much I could ask you about this. Let's just take a look here at from December 3rd. Great to see you and finally catch up with you last night in LA, Mr. Vince Neil. Explain this.
Okay, so this is quite funny. Okay, Glenn knows this about me. Jim, you may or may not know this about me. Everything in my life, I'm going to be putting a book out. I don't know how I'm going to write it one day, but everything in my life, I just do it, and I take risks, and I do things because life is one big book, and each day is a page in your book. Mm-hmm. And I laugh at my life all the time. So now whenever people bring up Tommy Lee or Vince Neil, my whole thing is, well, you might learn from me, don't date 2 guys in the same band, first of all. So I dated Tommy first, and a few years after I dated Tommy Lee, a few years after I dated of Motley Crew, a few years after I dated him and we had broken up. So while I dated Tommy, I never met Vince because when we would go on tour and do things together, they didn't speak to each other at all. They all had separate buses. You know, they might be on stage together, but they never said a word to each other. They all hated each other. So I never met Vince. It was never a thing. So me and Tommy break up. And then a few years later at a golf tournament of Vince's that I was working, I met him and we both liked each other and we both started dating. And I went on tour with him and there was a lot of crazy stories. God, I wish we had time to tell them all, right, Glenn? Because I'm sure you remember the one when I went to Florida with him when he was fucking the girl in the room that I walked in on, if we can all recall.
Oops.
But when you're dating a rock star, I guess that's what you get.
Yeah.
But I had great time.
Timing is everything. Yes.
But I think you said something there. I want to go back real quick. People didn't know. So Tommy and Vince took separate tour buses and didn't like each other?
They did not like each other. None of them. The whole band didn't like each other. Nikki Sixx, Mick Mars, Tommy Lee, Vince Neil. They had separate dressing rooms. They had separate buses. They did not interact at all. But they had to go on tour together. So, yeah. I mean, it would be one thing if I had met Vince through Tommy, and that would be really weird and very disrespectful on my end. But to me, it was like, to me, they were in a different band, technically.
Mm-hmm.
They might have shared a stage a time or two, but, and it was funny because when I was talking to Vince, and I was going to admit to him I dated Tommy, I remember we were at the first seasons, and I was like getting pretty drunk because I knew I had to bring this up. And I was like, I have to tell you something. It's going to upset you. And he's like, babe, what's wrong? What is it? Just tell me, babe. What is it? And I'm like, I don't know. You're going to be so mad. And I like you so much. And I don't want you to be mad. And he's like, what? Did you fuck Tommy?
Oops.
And I was like, well, yeah, a lot. And he's like, I thought it was going to be something bad. Everybody's fucked Tommy. I don't care, babe.
That's good.
I was like, yeah, okay, well, that went over easy.
Right.
But Tommy did not like it so much. I remember we had gone on tour, me and Vince, and we were all going to Sturgis bike rally. And Vince flew in before me, and I had flown in, and the limo had come to pick me up from the airport, and I was in the limo. And Vince called me, and he was laughing, and he's like, well, Tommy's manager just called my manager and said he's not happy that his ex-girlfriend's coming in to see you now, Vince. And it was like a thing, but Vince didn't give a shit. And, you know, at the time I was like, Tommy has another girlfriend. Who cares? He has a fiance, actually. So why does it matter? But, you know, I guess it did matter to him at some point, which is good because then he cares. But yeah, that was quite the funny scenario. But then years later, you know, me and Tommy made up and we're all friends now. So fast forward, I became friends with Vince's newest girlfriend. And I say newest, they've been together maybe 7 years or so now, 6-7 years. She's a sweetheart. Her name is Rain. She's beautiful from the inside out. I respect her, love her. And she's always telling me, thank you for being so respectful of me and Vince's relationship. And she is the one that actually reached out to me the other day and invited me to the show in LA and got me passes. So I went, and I think it had been maybe 6 years, five or 6 years since I saw either of them. And it was great. It was great to catch up and see Vince and introduce Vince to some of my girlfriends. And then, you know, you post the picture and everybody's like, oh my God, you know Vince Neil? And I get all these phone calls now. You're just out living your best life, partying with rock stars. And in my mind, I'm like, I've always done that. There's nothing new. Where have you guys been?
And there you have it, the story of how Brooke Haven almost broke up Motley Crew, the band.
Yeah, woo, me.
All right, I'm going to keep moving us along because I hate that we run out of time on these podcasts. I have so much more to ask you. We haven't even gotten to the stories yet. I'm going to skip the rest of these Instagram things, although I will note that I see David Arquette on here. I see an unnamed guy in a picture that looks a lot like George Lopez.
Maybe Dolph Ziggler.
I think I see Dolph Ziggler in here. This is all on her Instagram. You guys just go check out her Instagram. Can I say your Instagram on here? That's right. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So it's Life of Serena XO. That's Life, LIFEOFSERENA XO. And then what's the rest of your social media while we're at it? You have any more?
Yeah, I do have. I have a Twitter that I'm on once in a blue moon. I should be on there more. And that's at Miss Brooke Haven, MISSBROOKEHAVEN. I think that's about it. I have an Instagram for Brooke Haven, and I think it's at Miss Brooke Haven XO maybe or something. I don't even know. I need to be on that for too. But it is all my pages, so don't think you're finding the fake pages if you find those. They're definitely mine.
Good.
What we should do, Glenn, is we should have more of these little phone things. Like maybe once a week, we should go over stories in my life.
Yes. We definitely are going to have you back as a guest on this show for part 2. No doubt. Let's just tell a couple of stories here because some of these are so epic that the whole industry talks about. Like literally, I was on set last week and my makeup artist was talking about, oh, do you remember there was a party in the industry back like 10 years ago where War Machine went? And I was like,
oh, God.
Remember? That was my birthday party.
That was our party, yeah.
It was Brooke and mine. So let's tell the War Machine story now. Let me just set this up here because what happened, Jim, was that So Brooke and I have birthdays that are 3 days apart. So we decided to have a nice little birthday party. And a friend of ours had his own little studio that they shot adult movies in. A studio, which, by the way, is featured in a new movie. That's a whole different subject because something horrible happened there a year or two later. But we'll get into that another time.
True.
Okay, so they lent us the place for free, and they decided to work for us for free. They provided a bartender, and there was booze they were serving out, whatever. And each of us decided we will only invite our closest 25 friends so that we can keep this a small gathering. So I then came up with my list of 25 people and presented it to Brooke over here, and then she gave me her list of 25 people, and then her other lists. Plus 25 and 25 and then another 25. And then her list had around 200 people. So I was like, no, you have to narrow this down to just your closest friends.
It's like a Greek wedding.
My closest friends.
Yes. She crossed everyone off the list that she could that wasn't her closest friend. And that left her with around 150. All right. So you pick up from there.
So, I had always liked UFC fighters, wrestlers, things, celebrities, rock stars, whatever. So there was talk in the industry that there was this UFC fighter that was going to get into porn, and he was really sexy and blah, 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 blah. So then, of course, I'm like, well, this is my chance. I'd like to meet this guy. And lo and behold, I got booked a scene with him, and his name was War Machine. And I showed up
nice name. Seemed like a nice fellow.
Yeah. You might remember, too, Glenn, that when I first got booked with him, I was highly concerned because I have veneer teeth and I don't like to be hit in my face at any time. And they told me that our scene was going to be like we were boxing, UFC stuff or whatever. And I was like, Glenn, I don't know if I can do this. Like, what am I? And he's like, they're not going to really hit you in the face. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. So I went and I did this scene, and it was great. And we had a great sex scene. And I was like, tomorrow's my birthday party, and I'm already way over max on my guest list. So what's one more?
Sure.
Would you like to be one of my very good friends and come to my birthday? And he's like, yeah, I would love to. So then I'm going to interject Glenn again because I'm at home. I have people that flew into town. I'm hosting people. We're all getting ready. And Glenn gets to the party early. And then what, Glenn?
He was very nice. War Machine showed up like an hour before the party started. And it's like, hey, man, it's good to meet you. How can I help? He was blowing up balloons for us and setting things up. And I was like, this is a great guy.
He's not a scary UFC fighter at all.
No, he's actually not that big, too. I mean, he's like 5'8" or 5'9".
Yeah.
He's a strong-looking guy, but not huge. And he was friendly. Okay, but then things kind of took a turn for the worse. Remember, we had people complaining to us during the party?
Yeah, people kept coming up to me and Glenn and saying, hey, I think this guy's doing coke or mixing coke and something, and he's getting all weird, and, he's starting little fights here and there. And we're like, I haven't seen him start any fights, but okay, yeah, we'll keep our eye on him. And we were trying to tell people, don't give him any drugs. Don't give that guy drugs. Don't give him anything.
And we pulled his friend aside.
At this point. We pulled his friend aside
yeah.
that he brought. And we're like, you need to control him because we're getting complaints. Like, make sure he doesn't do anything. It's like, I got him. I got my eye on him. Don't worry. Nothing will happen. And then.
Yeah. So then I do remember we knew we had a problem, but we were both getting wasted. It was our birthdays, right? So
yeah, we were totally wasted.
I know I had a date and we were back somewhere in the back of the place and I was just blitzed out of my mind and she was giving me a lap dance or something. I'm super happy. And somebody comes up to me and they're like, Glenn, you got to come right now. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm happy. She goes, no, your War Machine is beating up your bartender. So I'm like, oh shit. So I'm like, but that's not, I was thinking to myself, damn, the bartender's working for us for free and they're so nice to let us have this place for free. So I'm like, all right. So I went out there and the good news is that he was not beating up the bartender. However, you want to pick this up again?
Yeah. So, however, my friend Joey, I guess, was talking to War Machine's date, Alana Ray, and they were outside, I guess, talking in the parking lot, and I guess War Machine just lost his mind and just started knocking people out left and right. Like not Joey, by the way. Never even hit Joey.
No, but wait. So you're skipping a little bit here.
Oh, am I?
Yeah. So
what was the casualty count at the end?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So
sorry about that. Go ahead. Carry on.
The War Machine was grabbing every girl in the place. His date was outside, or his girl, I guess. She wasn't his date, but she was a girl that was dating him or something. Alana was outside and talking to casually to some other guy. So War Machine goes out there and he hits her, from what I understand.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was. Yeah, he hit her. Slapped her in the face or something.
At which point, all these porn people try to jump in and stop it. Nobody in our world is brave enough to attack him.
But we're trying to stop him from hitting her. Like, hey, you don't need to do that. Let's not do that here. And that didn't go well.
Right. No, and that's when I came outside. But apparently Derek, her agent, had bravely gone in as well. I don't know what Derek said to him, but I do know that Derek told him to back off.
Yeah.
And then that's when I arrived and saw War Machine. He had his hands clenched in fists, and he was pacing back and forth like an angry tiger. And so then I look around, and I'm like, okay, this is not good. Everybody was saying to him at the time, like, okay, calm down. Nobody wants any trouble here. So I took her around to look because there was a police officer friend of ours who was in the crowd somewhere. So I'm looking around for that coward who had then probably gotten in his car and driven away. And as I was looking back, I got hit in the face. Like War Machine just went off and started hitting people. It was a 1-2 combination. And even in my drunkenness, Jim, I took 10 years of martial arts. So the one thing I know is how to get hit and how to fall down. Like I never was the greatest fighter, but luckily my training kicked in and I ducked out of the way of the second punch. But then, by then he'd already run off. So then he's chasing your agent around the place.
He's chasing my agent around, but he also, is this before or after he knocked out Alec completely cold, Alex Knight?
On his way to chasing your agent, he started off by doing these 1-2 combos to random people that were in the vicinity of him. And one of them was our good friend Alec Knight.
Yeah.
No, he's got a drink in one hand and a cigarette in the other, and he's talking to Nikki Hunter. And then he, apparently, according to Nikki, he wakes up a minute later and he's like, or according to Alec, he says, I woke up going, hey, why am I on the ground? And Nikki's like, well, you got hit in the face. And he's like, why would anybody hit me?
Which is true, because Alex Knight is so nice and non-drama that why would anybody hit him? He never saw it coming. And then at one point I jumped or started hitting War Machine.
So then Brooke comes screaming out and jumps on War Machine's back.
Oh my God.
He just dumped her off. So then she jumped on the other guy's back. I don't know why.
Friend. I was so mad at him for letting this happen. And I was like, you're not even stopping him. And then I start hitting him. And I'm like,
so then he's still chasing Derek, of Direct Models around the dumpster. And then he would hit him and Derek would fall down and then Derek would get back up and start running again. And meanwhile, everybody else, Derek, who is, a very good agent, is not the most beloved person in the industry. So we're all kind of saying to each other, hey, should we help him? And everybody's like, it is Derek. Let's just see how it plays out,
Right.
And then finally, how did that end? Nikki Hunter maybe talked him into running away?
Nobody talked War Machine into running away. I think somebody said the cops are coming.
Yes, that's how she talked him into running away.
And he heard it. Yeah, the cops are coming. Call the police. The War Machine gets in like a Ford Fusion or something, Ford Escort, and takes off into the night. And escapes.
The official car of UFC, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So the casualty count is like 8 at that point.
Oh my.
Yeah. And there's bodies laying on the ground. The fire department pulls up. The police are there. I'm crying on a curb. People are crying all over the place. There's blood everywhere. The cops have yellow taped the whole fucking thing. And then, mind you, it used to be a tradition where Evan Stone would come dance for me at every birthday party I had. He'd
So
come
Evan
strip.
Stone is a performer with a great sense of humor who also used to be a male stripper.
Yeah.
So he shows up to the party at that point wearing a fireman's outfit.
Well,
I say to Evan, hey, it's so great that you arrived late as usual, but as you can see, this party is kind of over. We had an incident. And he looks around at all the firemen and he goes, what are you talking about? This is the perfect time for me. And he walks through the tape in his fireman outfit.
Wait. It's not a stripper fireman's outfit that you buy in like a store because it's Halloween. This is real fireman's turnout with boots and no shirt, but like the overalls on. And he's cruising past the firemen in this outfit. And they're looking at him
to
like,
each one of them.
Yeah, like, I'm one of you. Here I am. I'm here to save the day. And he comes over to me, grabs my hand. I'm still in the corner crying. And I'm like, Evan. And he's like, no, come on. This is no nonsense. You're not crying. Come on, we're going in. And let's go. And he takes me to the stripper pole. And he sets me in a chair and proceeds to take his clothes off and strip for me during all this.
Party resumes.
Yeah, it did.
The show must go on.
I know we're into overtime, Jim, but I have to tell the end of this story, the aftermath, next morning. So do you remember this, Brooke, the next morning?
The birthday presents.
Yeah, go ahead.
I only remember part of it, so you're going to have to fill in the blanks. But I was, like, upset, and I called Glenn, and I'm like, and my birthday presents. I think I left them all there or something. I was
No, you were crying because you said somebody opened your presents. You're like, oh my God, it was the worst night ever, and now the worst thing happened to me. Somebody opened all my presents,
and they probably stole stuff, and oh my God. And Glenn
says, yes, I know exactly who the culprit is, and I have evidence, and we can nail the person. So then I'm like, let me show you this video clip of you
opening up all your own presents. Yeah.
No
Just
memory.
another day with Brooke and Glenn. Brooke and Glenn's adventures.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my God.
God, you know, I want to tell the story of me accidentally inhaling the Jeffrey, which I told with Sarah Jesse, the night we got kicked out of the Leonard Skinner concert. Many more things, but we're out of time for this one.
We have time for one more.
Okay. All right, Jim. So we went to Leonard Skinner. Now, granted, the Leonard Skinner concert we went to had remnants of Leonard Skinner. You know, Jim, you're a music guy.
It wasn't the full band.
It's like the cousin of Ronnie Van Zant and all this guys. But it was a great little place over at Universal Studios. We have this little group of like 8 or 9 of us there, and we go in. I'm trying to remember exactly how this got started, but I believe what happened was somebody was sitting in our seats, right?
Yep. Somebody was sitting in our seats. And me and Vanessa were gone. I think me and Vanessa got up to get a drink or something.
Okay.
And when we came back, Chris went outside. So we went to go get drinks, and then when we came back, you guys were getting escorted out by security out of like our seat area, and we're like, what the hell is going on? We followed you guys outside to find out what was happening, and then so you can tell that what I've missed out on because we were gone getting a drink when the fight happened.
That's funny because the way I remembered it is that I thought it was you who actually got into the. Yeah, it was you. Because I looked over there and you're pointing your finger at the guy, or he's pointing his finger at you, and you guys are yapping back and forth at each other. So somehow you got in the middle of the scrum, but that's you. Like, you're not going to let people talk to your friends.
That is true.
But so it was Chris from Fox Modeling that was with us who actually got into the original argument with them, I think, where he basically
maybe or.
Yeah, because I'm just like, hey, well, I'll go stand in these other seats over here. But I think what happened was we did go stand in somebody else's seats because ours were taken, and then they came and said, you have to get out of our seats. So then we turned to the people that were in our seats and said, you have to go. And then they said, fuck you.
Fuck you. Yeah.
And then Chris starts jawing with them, and then you jumped in there because, if Chris was with us.
On my friends.
That's probably when you and Vanessa came back. So then you start yelling at them. So then then you left, I think, because then they went and told security. So Jim, the guy that was with them had crutches.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes and tells security that I threw them down a stairs.
Oh my God.
As if Glenn would ever do that, ever.
Yeah.
He's not that person, ever.
I'm just trying to watch I had nothing to do with it. I was just watching the show. Like, I literally looked over at them and went, oh, I see my friends are in a big fight. Well, I'm sure they'll let me know if they need me. I'm going to watch the show. So,
Right.
But then I get escorted out by security, and of my group of friends, the rest of them kind of looked and went, oh, I see Glenn's getting escorted out. None of them made a move.
We'll just keep watching the show.
Yeah. Say, hey, he wasn't the one. So then I'm getting dragged out. And that's when Brooke and Vanessa came back. And so then she came with us. So then I'm telling the guys, like, if I threw him down a stairs 5 minutes ago,
Right.
how does he have crutches already? Like, how did he go to the hospital
And get crutches.
and get his leg treated and get crutches?
Casted.
He keeps it in the car.
So they're over there getting ready to spin me around and put cuffs on me when somebody else intervened. It was like the concessions
Vanessa,
people.
maybe?
No, I think
Oh.
it was the concessions people who said, excuse me, that guy has been causing trouble all night long. The guy in the crutches.
Right.
He yelled at us and whatever, and he had crutches on when he got here and so on. And so they let us
So they
go.
let us all go back to our seats. But yeah, that was a fun night too. So many
Man.
fun nights. Glenn, we need to have campfire tales.
We really do. Well, when you move to Vegas, that's what we're going to be doing all the time.
Yes,
All her best friends are in Vegas these days, so it's only a matter of time.
that is true. They've all left me. Sarah, Jesse, and Glenn, my very bestest friends in the whole damn planet, gone. Gone
And
from LA.
Helly's here too. Yep.
Well, Helly's always gone. She's been in Canada.
Yeah.
I'm used to her being gone. But you and Sarah, you guys are actually really gone now. And now I have to go to Vegas just to see you.
Yes. Well, we'd come
Which I
more
will,
often.
because that's what friends do. We go
All
visit
right.
each other.
So tell us your social media one more time. And by the way, do you have any upcoming feature dancing gigs?
I personally myself do not at the moment. Right now I'm just kind of traveling with a few of the girls mentoring. But I'll post them when I do have feature dance gigs. And I'm also going to work on getting some other stuff going. So like Fan Centro and some other stuff. So
Good.
I'm going to
And
be back
OnlyFans.
around in certain aspects, and OnlyFans, and Glenn's going to be my mentor on all of it. He doesn't know it yet, but he is.
happy to do it.
And it was a pleasure meeting you, Jim. My social media is Life of Serena XO for Instagram, and then my Twitter is actually Miss Brooke Haven. And I think I have an Instagram out there somewhere.
It's Miss Brooke Haven XO. I just looked it up.
There it is. For which one? Oh, my Instagram?
Yes, that is your Instagram.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. This is how
No
my life
problem.
goes, just so the audience knows. Everybody remembers things for me. I don't know what it is. I just show up.
That's right.
It's out there somewhere.
You know, if you haven't become one of the over 15,000 people who have yet subscribed to our podcast, we certainly make it simple. You can go to the iTunes store. We're part of the Apple Podcast family. We're part of Google Podcast family, as well as Streaker, Stitcher, also Spotify, YouTube, and a number of other places. Just, if you can't find it, it's not a problem. Just search Let's Talk Adult. That's Let's Talk Adult with Glenn King and Jim Williams, and hit the favorite button and subscribe, and you will have a new edition of the podcast sent directly to your phone or to your tablet or to both. So please go out and do that today. Now, if you want to get in touch with us, that's simple as well. You can send us questions, comments, whatever, to our email account, which is letstalkadult@gmail.com. That's letstalkadult@gmail.com. Okay? So there you go. Easy to follow, easy to subscribe. Do it today. Glenn, if you would be so kind, sir, take us out with a final thought.
Final thoughts. Well, as you know, in the past, I've done a quote at the end of each show, but now I have a new thing I want to bring to you. As you know, each week we've been asking our performers to tell us what advice they would give to their young selves if they could go back in time. Now that I've turned 50, I'm actually compiling a little list of advice that I would give to myself at age 20. And I'm going to start sharing some of that information with you, our audience, because it is all extremely helpful, believe me. And the first thing on my list is this, which is know what the effects of each food is for you, okay? Any idiot can tell you to eat healthy when you're 20 years old, and you're not going to listen to them anyway. I'm not saying eat healthy. I don't care what you eat. But what I do suggest is that you learn some foods will make you sleepy. Some will make you itch. Some will make your stomach upset. Some will give you energy. Some will keep you awake at night. Some will make you die. I don't know. I'm just saying that there are effects that every single food has. And because the effect doesn't happen right away, we don't realize what that effect is. But everyone needs to keep a little food journal. Trust me on this. Find out what the next day effects or the 4 hours later effects are of each food item, and you will be on the path towards eating the best foods for you and leading a happier, healthier life.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody, for listening to Let's Talk Adults. See you next time.